Today we're covering two sections, 6.1 and 6.2. In 6.1, it's your basic conversions between fractions, decimals, and percents. There really is not a whole lot of work to show except for one part. So it is just understanding that these three relationships are interchangeable, meaning 50% is the same thing as 0.5, which is the same thing as 1/2. All right, now I know back in our elementary years, this is definitely an area that was really mastered. Okay, you guys practice these a lot, so I'm expecting to be able to pull some of that from our long-term memory. Okay, but we're still rusty. We still need to go over it. 25%, 0.25, and 1/4. Okay, again, just showing that the values are interchangeable. All right, now. So changing a percent to a decimal, okay? Let's think about it for a minute. A percentage, if I were to tell you there's an 80% chance of rain today, 80% out of what? 100. Out of 100. So a percentage is always out of 100, meaning it's division, okay? So division is what converts a percentage to a decimal. It's division. When I divide, I am moving my decimal left 2 places. All right, so percent is always out of 100, which means division. So this would be 0.46. I will not require you to show work on this. Okay, so you can just say 0.46. I want you to go ahead and do numbers 2 and 3. Just give it a try. All right. What's the second one going to be, guys?
2.45.
2.45. All right, and that makes sense because 200% is over 100%, which means it's going to have a value more than 1. That's why I have a 2 in my ones place. Okay, now 12.6 repeating, I still start where the decimal is, so I would say 0.126, but what is the only digit that repeats? 6. The 6. So make sure the repeating bar only goes over the 6. Okay? So changing a percent to a decimal. You have 3 problems like this on your homework tonight. Okay? All right. Now we're going to go decimal to a percent. Okay? So if you divide to go the first way, guess what you're going to do to go the other way? You're going to multiply because you're basically taking that decimal value and you're multiplying it times 100. Well, when you multiply it times 100, you're moving your decimal to the right 2 places. So 0.05 would be 5%. All right, go ahead and do 5 and 6. Okay, 1.25 as a percent, guys. 1.2. 125%. Okay? And what about number 6? Hope, what'd you get for number 6? Very good. 0.42%. All right, how are we doing? Doing okay? Now, the only one that might take a little bit of work is a fraction to a decimal. Okay, so I like to explain this like we have 3 levels of difficulty, okay? Okay, the first level of difficulty, meaning the easiest, you guys paying attention, okay, is if the denominator stands for a place value. How would I read this fraction? I would read it 7 tenths. The tenths place is a place value. I would put the numerator value in that place, 7 tenths. 7 tenths, okay? So that's my level 1 difficulty. If my denominator is already a place value, I just put the numerator in that place, okay? Do you see another one, 8, 9, 10, or 11, where the denominator is one of my place values? Hadley? 9.
Like the number. Like the question 9.
Oh, number 9. Okay, yes, number 9. Yes, because it's the thousandths place, right? And I know the thousandths place, okay, this is the last time I'm going to ask. Please stop talking. Okay? Is how many decimal places out? I go tenths, hundredths, thousandths. 3 decimal places. So 0.00, and the 3 goes in the thousandths place. See how I did that? Okay? Easy. I didn't even have to show any work on that. For the rest of them, I don't have the denominator that stands for a place value. So my level 2s, okay, difficulties, would be to look for a denominator that is divisible by one of my place values, either 10 or 100. So between numbers 8, 10, and 11, do I have any denominators that could be evenly divisible? Any denominators that could be evenly divisible into 10 or 100? I have a denominator of 9. Does that go into 10 or 100? 15? What about 4?
Yeah.
4 doesn't go into 10, but it does go into 100. What would I multiply 4 times to get to 100? 25. Okay? So multiply top and bottom by 25. All right? If you end up with an improper fraction, which you will in this case, it started improper, so that's the first clue. 550 over 100. You need to first make this a mixed number. Okay? How many times does 100 go into 550? 5 with 50 left over. All right, I would caution you to reduce it, just because if you reduce it and the denominator is not a power of 10 anymore, then you've got another problem. So, but 50 100ths, I could say 5.50. Okay, that's 50 hundredths. Now, I do know that it reduces to 1/2, but then again, 1 over 2 isn't necessarily a place value. You would have to know 1/2 is 0.5. Okay, does that make sense? So it would be better to leave it this and know that it's 50 going in the hundredths place. Okay? All right, 5.5. So now I have my decimal value there. Now I got to come back to numbers 8 and 10. All right, these are my level 3 difficulty, because the only way to solve these is long division. Okay? If it does not go into 10 or 100 evenly, then the only way for me to solve this is by long division, meaning the numerator divided by the denominator. Okay, 5 divided by 9. Okay, so 5 goes on the inside. Now, you must divide this out 3 decimal places to see the pattern. When I divide, let's come over here, 5 divided by 9. Obviously, 9 doesn't go into 5, 0. Bring my decimal up, 0.5. All right, 45. And I can quickly see that this is going to be, and a lot of the times it is, going to be a repeating decimal. Sometimes it's a terminating decimal. Okay, 0.5 repeating. 0.5 repeating. All right, and number 10, we would do the same way. For the sake of time, we're going to skip number 10. Okay, so for percentages, 0.7 is, what is a percent?
7.
All right, let's just go down the line. 70%, 0.5 repeating, 55, and then we do have to have the repeating part. You can't repeat a whole number. Okay, otherwise it's going to be like millions and trillions. Okay, so because it's repeating, you do need that decimal part. This is going to be 0.3%. Okay, and the last one will be 550%. All right, so just simple conversions, guys. It might be like the first section on your quiz and test, but it is absolutely not the focus. Okay, like you might get a question or two out of this. Okay, really in chapter 6, we use the fractions, decimals, and percents as a basis for the rest of the chapter, okay? And here's where you're going to see a lot in this chapter that you probably could piece together because you have a good handle on the fractions, decimals, percents. However, we're just using that as almost like a springboard into the other concepts. So today you're learning something called the percent proportion. There are two ways to write the percent proportion, okay? Does anybody have a nickname? So like you have a name and then you have your nickname? Anybody have, or you know someone who has a nickname? Okay? But it's still them, isn't it? They just go by a nickname? Yeah? No? Right? Okay? So that's what's happening here. We have the official formula. This one right here on the left is the official formula for the percent proportion. But then we have kind of like a nickname for the formula, or it's kind of like our cheat sheet. The is over of equals P over 100. The reason I like this formula is because my key words are built into the formula. So it helps me remember where my is value goes and where my of value goes. You'll see that in a minute. But my variables are A over W. So what does this all mean? Okay, well think about a fraction. The numerator stands for the part. The denominator stands for the whole, right? Right? We have that basic knowledge, okay? So A over W equals P over 100. This is my starting point, okay? All right, so I've got my formula. Let's look at example 1. What percent of 15 is 12? Let's pretend for a minute that we don't see what the example is titled, okay? The first thing I need to figure out is what is it asking me to solve for? What percent? I'm solving for P. Now I need to figure out in my formula, the is over of, what is my is value and what is my of value? It says of 15 is 22. So those key words tell me that 15 is my of and 12 is my is value. So 12 over 15 equals P over 100. Okay? And now I can solve my proportion using any method of my choice. But it will, let's just be honest, it's either going to be cross products or mental math. Okay? In this case, cross products. So 15 times P would be what? 12 times 100, 1200. Now set up your equation and solve for P. 80%. Okay? So as long as you're plugging these numbers in the right place, cross products and solve. And literally the entire lesson is this. You're just solving for different parts of it. Okay? Okay, on the next one, I'm solving for percent again. I don't know what the percent is. I want you to try to plug in the numbers into your formula. Remember, it's is over of equals P over 100. All right, which one's my is value? 24 over 20 equals P over 100. So automatically, when I see that my part is bigger than my whole, that's an indicator to me that this is probably more than 100% if my part is bigger than my whole. So when I did my cross, wait a second, could I do mental math?
Yeah.
20 times what equals 100? 5. 24 times 5 is 120, just like that. Okay? I don't care which method you use. In this case, mental math is easier. All right, how are we doing, guys? You catching on to the key words? Let's look at example 2. In example 2 now, I'm solving for a different part of the percent problem, okay? Now I'm finding part of a whole. What number is 80% of 60? So guys, it's all about plugging it in the right place. A over 60. My of 60. 60 is my of, it's my whole. And then 80 is my percentage. So the percentage is going to give itself away, isn't it? Because it's got a percent sign. okay? So I'm just plugging the numbers in. Hopefully we can get good enough where it's basically all together and you can read a statement and know what you're solving for. All right, cross products and solve. Go ahead and do it. You guys get it? 4,800 equals 100A. All right, who got 48? Anybody get 48? All right, very good. Go ahead and do the second one at your tables. Go ahead and work together to do the second one. Okay. Let's see. A over 40.5 equals 10 over 100. 100A equals 405. 4.05? Okay, 4.05. Very good. All right. Okay, so let's do example 3. In example 3, guys, the statement looks exactly the same, except now I'm solving for a different part of it, okay? So now it says 25% of what number? Well, that of tells me it's the denominator that I don't know, okay? So I'm just going to try to plug in my other numbers. 25%, that like gives it away. Which one is that?
Over 100.
That's P over 100. Very good. All right, so I have 9 over, which variable stands for of? No, of. W. Whole. W is the whole. So if it says of, W is the variable that I use. Okay, so sorry if I didn't clarify that on the last one. If I'm solving for the part, I use A for my variable. All right, so I have, wait, hold on. Did I just go to the wrong, I went to the wrong slide. Hold on. I'm on example 3 now. Let's see. There it is. Okay, so A over W equals P over 100. So A is 9. That's not an A. That's a 9. Okay. 9 over W. So now I need to do my cross products. 900 looks like, right?
Yep.
Equals 25W. Divide both sides by 25. And W equals 36. All right, I want you to try to do the last one. Go ahead and work together to do the last one. All right, guys, 30 over W equals 150 over 100. 150 divide. W equals 20. Who got 20? Okay, now because my percent is over 100, it makes sense that my part is bigger than my whole. Okay, now let me let you in on kind of an easy way that you can check to make sure you have solved correctly. You should be able to cross product multiply. 20 times 150 is 3,000. 30 times 100 is 3,000. You can cross products and check to see if it forms a proportion. Okay? Once you have the answer. It's an easy way for you to check to make sure you did it right. Okay? Is that cross product checking. So now let's look at the last example. I do not love that this is the very first one that we cover because there's a little bit of a twist here. But we'll go with it. It says an Arctic woolly bear caterpillar lives for 7 years and spends 90% of its life frozen. How many days of its life is the Arctic woolly bear frozen? Listen, anytime you read a scenario, this is one of those concepts where the scenarios, okay, are really important. You have to be able to read the scenario and determine which value is your percent, or do you even know it? Which value is your part, and which value is your whole. So please understand me. The A, the part, that's just one piece. The whole is your total or your final amount. Okay? So in this problem, 90% would go in for, let's write our original problem, A over W equals P over 100. Where does 90 go? For A, W, or P? Where does 90 go? It goes for P. 90 over 100. So now my question is, where does the 7 go? 7 is the total amount that he lives. He lives for 7 years. And I know out of those 7 years, it spends 90% frozen. So how much of its life does it spend frozen? Well, that's only a part of its life that it spends frozen. But here's the catch. 7 years is the value here. And what does it ask me? How many days? So there's 2 options, okay? And in 4th hour, I did not choose the right option. You need to go ahead and convert it here. How many days are in 7 years?
2,500.
Yes. Now do your cross products.
What about leap years?
I don't care about the leap year. Actually, that's a good point, but we don't care about the leap year. All right, cross products and solve now. Okay, so cross products, 2555 times 90. Okay, I've got 100A equals, I think it's 229,950. Okay, divide both sides by 100, which means I'm moving my decimal left 2 places. A equals 2,299.5 days.
So you could have done more than that. Because that maximum.
Okay, and more specifically, look here, guys. That's how many days out of how many days of its life total. All right, so it only lives for 2,555. And that's not very many. Like, imagine if that was us and, like, the A value was how much we slept and we were only awake for, like, the difference between the two. That would be sad.
That couldn't dream a lot.
That would be sad, I know, right? Okay, that's everything we need to know for today's lesson.